Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. The good like Aleph, Vaera, finishing up our sikha that we're learning. Basically, we're discussing Tzilas Mitzrayim and the whole concept of it spiritually, and basically the issues of our own Mitzrayim, how to get out of it. And ultimately, we're saying that the fundamental issue is kriras, it's coldness, is being apathetic. And in terms of Kedusha, meaning, what's the Mitzrayim of Kedusha? Meaning you're doing good things, but there's still a Mitzrayim. That Mitzrayim is not so much the coldness, but it's the limiting factors. It's like the famous story that I've said that when I went to Ma'inot Yeshiva, and the first ring that I was at was Rai Talga. So Talga, I heard about him. He's the guy that translated the whole Rambam. Like, wow, this guy's cool. And he's a Baal Tshuva. Okay, very interesting. So the story goes that this is the first ring that I heard. This is what he said. And this is, I think, and what we're talking about when we're saying Kedusha, Kedusha, he said, he was in Yeshiva for 4 years. And a friend of his came around the same time. Like, they both became friends in Yeshiva. 4 years later, his friend was still learning in Yeshiva. And Talga started being a teacher. So his friend came to me and said, like, I don't get something here. What happened? You became the teacher and I'm still the student. Now you're teaching me. Like, how did we get to him? So he said to me, he goes, let me ask you a question. I think this is a very powerful message. And this is the Mitzrayim Sheba Kedusha. He goes, tell me, how do you find learning Gemara? Is it easy or is it hard? So he goes, oh, learning Gemara, it's very hard. Of course. It's Gemara, it's difficult, it's deep. So he goes, there. Because that's what we changed. Your attitude was you made it into this Mount Everest, so you're never going to be able to get there. You're not going to get to the point where you feel comfortable enough to be able to learn it properly, to be able to ultimately teach. It's always going to look like this impossible mountain to overcome. And this is the shtus, the Mitzrayim of Kedusha, that it's limiting your abilities. And it's the Rebbe explains that in Alpi, that it's Alpi Tamadas. Everything is according to logic, meaning logically, I'm saying that this seems logically not possible for me. So to get out of that is going above that logic. But then talking about in Klippa terms of Mitzrayim of Klippa, is that it's pulling us away from Torah mitzvahs. It's not limiting our Torah mitzvahs, but it's taking us against Torah mitzvahs. That comes ultimately it's sourced in apathy. They're apathetic, that we have a lack of feeling, they have a coldness, like the water, like we said. And that's why, and so the way to overcome this, but the Yidden, like we said also in the beginning of the week, the Yidden were in such a tough situation, they couldn't hear, and even Moshe himself, when Hashem will explain to him, Moshe is Tachlis HaChachma, Moshe understood everything, he didn't even understand this. How can this be? How can this work? And it was the goal so bad. So how do we get rid of this? Was the makkos. And the first makkah was the makkah of turning the water into blood. And the water was like the Avodah Zarah, and the water was water is cold. And this is sort of the issue was this coldness, it's apathy. And so what we're saying, we have to have a passion, we have to have a fire, we have to warmth. And this is very important when it comes to Yiddishkeit. We have to be excited. We have to learn how to get ourselves excited, things like that. And when we transformed it into, and what was the market that it got transformed into blood? Blood is chamimos, blood is kiadamu, nefesh. It says that the blood is the soul. That's life. That's liveliness, and that's what we're trying to do. Well, and then we talked. That's what we talked about the frogs. And the frogs were also from the water, and that mark of the frogs. That even though there's the scorpion also has a coldness, but the coldness of the scorpion is not as deep as the coldness of the frog. The frog is like from the water. That's its life. Like we said, that if a scorpion wants to cross the river, it's set up. It says in the Gemara, it's set up that a frog will come and help it get across. But the scorpion is not too sunken into this coldness, where the frog is also, and that's why I had this plague of frogs. And it's coming in, it's making this whole thing. Yeah, so we're going to go to the Hayra. So the lesson. Ha-Hayra shall call ha'amru b'avos Hashem hu. The lesson of everything we just said in terms of serving Hashem is never adds in parentheses also, like we said just before about Kedusha. Amnam b'dugma zu. Yeah, Kedei le'pater le'gamel b'chinas mitzayim d'lumat zeh. In order to get out of this mitzayim of the lumat zeh, of the negative. Amnam b'dugma zeis hi gam ha'yitziya mitzayim Kedusha. Even though in this example there's also the yitzias of Kedusha, Vaera medida meduda al pi tamadas, Vaera that is measured according to reasoning. Ach be'ikar chashuva harei ha'yitziya mitzayim l'umat. But the main thing the Rebbe says is the yitzias mitzayim l'umat zeh, the negative of klipa. Meaning we have the Yitzias Mitzrayim of Kedusha that we're limiting ourselves, and it's a simple and something we have to bring about and think about. What's my Mitzrayim to Kedusha? What am I limiting myself in holy matters? Am I saying I'm not capable? I'm not good enough? I'm not chassidish enough? I can't do it. Shalos not to him. I can't do it to him. For many years. I'll give another example. For many years, I thought it was impossible to do Shalos not to him. Just I wouldn't even try. I'd do like 2 hours, and that's it. And I'm finished. I'm done. That's all. Can't do anymore. But that limits us, and giving up on ourselves, and giving up on our abilities, and thinking we're not good enough to do this. That's all b'kedusha. There's no Vaera not saying Tehillim, Shalos Varchim, but it's limiting ourselves to say I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to learn. I'm not a learner. Saying negative things like this is the mitzvah to kedusha. But the main point is not that, is the mitzvah of the umatzah. So yesh, rashis, the first thing, likanes chamimus, the chayus beyond kedusha. We have to add warmth and chayus, liveliness into our holy matters. Shekei tchilasam shall call mine hara hi hakurus. The source of all bad comes from the coldness. And this is a beautiful point that he's saying, that we have to have this warmth, this fire, this passion when we determine mitzvahs. We're trying to solve the issue with the klippa, and how we're solving it by our Torah mitzvahs. Meaning, if I have an amazing time with our Torah mitzvahs, so then automatically we'll have a less, and this is what we're going to say, automatically we're going to have a less of a geschmack, of a pull to the klippa. Yeah. So, Yachamishu, Lidmois Menashe, someone can say to himself, V'chima, Avel, Kishein, Kayemes, Islavos, Kedusha. What's the big deal if I don't have any excitement in Kedusha? I'm not doing anything against Kedusha. So why is it so important that I have to do things in this excitement in Kedusha? I'm doing the job. I'm davening, I'm learning, I'm making sure I do all the right things. So I don't have a passion in it. I'm not excited. I'm not, it's not fiery. It's a big deal. I'm not doing anything wrong. The Rebbe is saying a person needs to know, it's not true. You can't be on both sides. To not have an excitement and a passion with the Kedusha, and also not have a passion to things that are against Kedusha. It can't be that you're not passionate about anything. You have passions. Where are the passions for? So the Rebbe is saying you have to make the passion for Kedusha. If you're passionate for Kedusha, your passion is going to be for something else. Yeah. Shekain, adishus, akrirus, Kedusha, because apathy and coldness in Kedusha may via his because if you have the coldness and apathy in regards to Kedusha, that's going to get you sunken into Mitzrayim. And therefore, Mashkia Yetzirah therefore the Yetzirah puts in a lot of effort in this. He puts in, he spends a lot of money to make sure he gets you. Vishtadlus, umetzes, his rag shusay shall ben Yisrael melkus, that he puts a lot of effort to diminish and cool down. He puts ice blocks into your hot coffee. Of a year to cool down from the kedusha. galui. Even when he gets a great miracle, what happens? By Yitzhahara, V'toyin comes and says, why are you getting so excited? You see a miracle, he's not it's clearly godliness. What do you come and do? Relax. It's not such a big thing. And what did he say? Listen to this. The part the Rebbe says. He goes, hey, yeah, look, you believe everything comes from Hashem. Baruch Hu, kol yachol. Kol yachol shel gaba ve'ein tovsim kol ha'olam is makom klal. Hashem can do everything. The world doesn't really matter for Hashem. He's way above and beyond all this. So pashut shel didai ein kol bayam v'achlafas tziruf oisyes mahaves achometz tziruf oisyes mahaves amshemen. So for Hashem, it's not a big deal to transform the letters that makes oil to transform the letters that make vinegar. Meaning the famous story in the Gemara about there's no oil for Shabbos candles and they used vinegar instead. So you hear that story. It's very miraculous. So what happened? Yitzhar comes and he tells you, what do you mean? What's the big deal? You believe in Hashem. Hashem kol yachol. It's not a big deal. It's not a big miracle. Hashem he can do everything. Shemen is only 3 letters. What's the big deal? So to change 3 letters around. So what's a big chiddush? Shemen v'yadlik. The one that says the oil should light. He'll say that the vinegar should light. If says, why are you getting out of your kelim? It's like it blows your mind. What's it blowing your mind? Relax. Hashem's in charge. Hashem can take care of it. It's not a big deal. And he plays it down. Good things that happen to you in Kedusha, the Yitzhahara plays it down. And this is the famous, we don't do chittas, let's say for 6 months. The first day we do chittas, what do we say? What are you getting so excited? You haven't done chittas in 6 months. Relax. You didn't do anything special. That putting down of all the good things that we do, and I think if I can, from my experience, my personal experience, and I'm with people, I've spoken to enough people, and I see this around. This is not, I'm not using the klal. This is a big issue that we have. Yitzhahara knows how to put you down, put you in your place, and really diminish it. And what they're saying is this is a big issue. This affects a lot of us, and this affects a lot of the rest. And we say, why am I not excited? It's not because you're not excited. You are just you're putting yourself down always, and you're diminishing all these great things. When you come to a person, and it's like I heard someone said, in a Chabad house, if you make one guy frum, it's the biggest thing in the world. Once a year, if every year you had one guy became frum, you miracle worker. But in a yeshiva, one guy a year leaves, you either failed. Now, of course, I'm not. All I'm saying is that we don't know how to evaluate things properly within ourselves. So when we come to ourselves, every mitzvah. So that one guy does a mitzvah. Come to Chabad house, you make a bracha. Biggest thing. You put on tzitzis. It's the biggest thing. Shabbos candles, like wow. But suddenly when we come from, solid Shabbos candles. Who cares? I do that every day. It doesn't matter. We have to transform the way we look at things and realize being negative on ourselves, using negative language for anything, and especially for ourselves, is very detrimental, and it makes a lot of problems. Whereas when we speak positively with ourselves, that's the key to success. And if we look at reality, like we are, as a friend of mine, he was speaking to his friend, to a mashpia of his, and he was saying, whatever, I'm struggling doing Torah mitzvahs. So he said, you think that the chiddush is when you don't do Torah mitzvahs. He goes, but that's the normal. The whole world around us, everyone, in any way, in any statistic you want to look at, the amount of people doing Torah mitzvahs is minute. Not talking about the world at large, talking about even the Jewish people, and even in. And so he said, when you do a mitzvah, that's chiddush. It's such a celebration. Every mitzvah you do is a celebration, and not because we're being a fake, because it's real. And this is what the Yitzhahara is doing. He realizes that, so he puts it down. He says, it's nothing special. What's the big deal? You do it every day. So why are you making hurrah? I tell him today, okay, good, big deal. Let's move on. No, next. And And that's what sort of destroys us. It shoots us in the leg and it makes it so hard. But what we're saying is if we can look at these things and look at it and celebrate all these things because they truly need to be celebrated, that transforms us. The one Yitzhahara, because then finish it off, the kavanah of the Yitzhahara, he tzanein as haispilus hailakus to cool down the excitement of godliness. Lahavi adishus l'kedush and bring apathy to holiness. Shehim marker letumas mitzrayim, which is the sauce for the tomb of Mitzrayim. Yesh efer lahakoisei b'makis adam. What do you have to do? You have to hit it with the blood. Hamakar rishain lishaviras mitzrayim. This is the first thing to break the Mitzrayim. He adam chamimus, the warmth, hislavus, the passion, hachayos, and then the life. That's what we have to have. We have to have a passion in life. We have to add those things in Kedusha. We're excited when Shabbos is coming. We can dance, play some music, get ourselves in the mood. Shabbos is coming. It's so exciting. Just like we have to put in this blood, this into the Kedusha, and add into this Kain Yesh lahafil esakariros va'idushas and yana elam. But you can also fill in that coldness and apathy into worldly things. Hazeh, which is the tzvai day. That was what the frog was doing. Elo, the frog went, never so we said, went first even to the ovens. The frog went to do the opposite, to take the kriros and put it and jump the kriros out of the water but into Mitzrayim. Elo, heim, shnei, hatzidim, harishadim, latzias, Mitzrayim. These are the two fundamental things to get a passion in Kedusha, and exam in Kedusha, and the coldness to the Elam Hazeh. Yeah, having those two things. So Mitzvah Hashem will always be successful, and also when it comes and to apply this idea, to think about it, for bringing about it, if bring it of Shabbos and think about it, for bringing with your friends, think how do I apply this to myself and how do I fit this into everything, to all parts, not just when I'm lighting Shabbos candles, when I'm going on shidduchim and I go to work and I speak to my family and I hang with my friends. How can I add this idea and how can I implement this? Mitzvah Hashem should all be successful. Should have an amazing weekend, Shabbos, and we should have only fire and passion. Chaim.